everyone, welcome to my class, Public Administrations of Marine Affairs in Republic of Korea. Before starting my lecture, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Mof Headquarters. The last name is M-O-K, as Korean place the last name in front. I have graduated from Korea Maritime and Ocean University. I have sailed on board merchant ships right after graduation and 4 years as a deck officer, which was a very rigorous but valuable experience. Since then, I have always worked around the world of sea. I recently finished my term of service in a public entity, the Korea Ship Safety Technology Authority, 4.5 years ago. Now I am teaching students in the Division of Shipping Management of Korea Maritime and Ocean University. This lecture consists of 4 chapters. From the first one, you will see outlines of the study, including terminology, the importance of the sea, the UN law of the sea, and an overview of Korea's marine features. In chapter 2, you will have a basic understanding of Korea's marine environments and how they are dealt with various challenges. Additionally, I'd like to introduce Korea's history and current marine administrations. In chapters 3 and 4, you will learn 3 main areas of concern: ocean shipping and logistics, marine research and development, and maritime safety. Before we get into the main contents, we need to understand the terminology and the scope of this lecture. And I like to touch upon how important sea is for humankind and the individual country. In addition, we will have time to understand UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, as a legal framework for all marine and maritime activities over the world. We often confuse or misuse the terms related to marine and maritime wordings. The term marine is directly related to the sea, while the maritime is related to the things associated with the sea. We may see some examples of the wordings of marine as marine engineering, marine species, marine exploration, marine life, merchant marine ship, etc. When it goes maritime, the examples are maritime museums, maritime transport, maritime zone, etc. When we compare maritime versus ocean or oceanic, maritime usually refers to commercial transportation or naval activities. Ocean usually means environmental, fisheries, undersea mining, etc. The scope of today's lecture is Korea's marine administrations, which may cover marine and ocean affairs, including maritime business and marine safety. MOF, the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, is currently responsible for the marine administration. Fisheries affairs will not be included unless otherwise related to the safety. Korea's governing regime also excludes shipbuilding from the marine, which is separately taken care of by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy. Why are we telling the sea is critically important? There are many reasons. Firstly, the sea is the origin of all the creatures on the earth, and they cover 71% of the globe's surface. And the sea contains 75% oxygen, which is vital for life. Secondly, the sea is an environmental facilitator, having the ability for self-purification and renewal function. Further, the sea absorbs solar energy by 80%. Otherwise, green gas effect become more severe, and heat from the sun may melt everything on the earth. In that sense, the sea is crucial for maintaining the creature's life. Thirdly, the sea is the mainstream of global trade by carrying 78% of total volumes. As you know well, sea transportation is the most economical and eco-friendly method. And lastly, 96% of natural resources are yet unexplored, even though our technology has significantly advanced compared in the last decades. The sea contains oil, gas, and deep sea mineral. In addition, it produces electric power by tidal generation. Let us see the economic value of the ocean industry. According to WWF World Wide Fund for Nature 2015 report, the ocean provides a value of 24 trillion US dollars. Out of them, 6.9 trillion US dollars comes from the direct output of the sea from marine fisheries, mangroves, coral reefs, and the seagrass. 5.2 trillion US dollars is made by trading and ocean transportation. The rest are indirect and intangible outputs from the productive coastline, tourism, carbon absorption, etc. Also, the gross marine products are as big as the world's top 7 countries. You may see the world rankings of GDP and find the United States of America most prominent. The equivalent of a country's GDP, the annual gross marine products, would make the ocean the world's 7th largest economy. These figures demonstrate how the sea is essential and giving us a vast economic potential. Another reason we talk about the sea is because it provides global challenges and solutions. The sea will respond to climate change, food and energy depletion, and we will create a new growth engine through the sea. Because only 5% of ocean is explored, humankind may keep exploring the rest and find possibilities and opportunities for the future. To grasp new opportunities, many countries, especially the power countries such as the United States, China, and Japan, after UNCLOS effective in 1994, established new plans to develop predominantly sea potential benefits. Especially China plans to increase ocean production by 14% of GDP in the next 10 years. It is very incredibly progressive. On the other hand, we have seen the ocean being destroyed. The total acidity of the ocean has increased by 26% since the pre-industrial period. Consequently, the Earth's average surface temperature rose by 0.85 degrees Celsius during the period between 1880 and 2012. 90% of the global fish stocks are overexploited or fully exploited. Pacific bluefin tuna numbers have dropped 96% from unfished levels. The decline of fisheries reaches 90%. The deforestation rates of mangroves exceeds even the loss of forest by 3 to 5 times. Consequently, the Marine Living Planet Index, that is an indicator of the state of global biological diversity. It shows a decline of 39% between 1970 and 2010. 50% of the world's corals have disappeared. If the ocean warms by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial period by the end of the century, coral reefs, the world's most diverse marine ecosystem, are projected to disappear by 2050. In addition, we observed almost 1/3 of all seagrasses have been lost. Based on the observations mentioned before, WWF has suggested that it is time to hit the reset button to protect the healthy and productive ocean assets. It contains meaningful targets, policy delivery, informed decisions, and knowledge sharing, and responsible governance and partnerships. The UN Global Compact adopted 17 SDGs. This is Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. One of them for oceans is number 14, Life Underwater. It is regarding conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. UNCC is a voluntary strategic policy initiative promoting business to enhance corporate citizenship and provide practical engagement measures by aligning their operations and strategies with universally accepted human rights, rave, environment, and anti-corruption principles. Since its official launch on 26th of July 2000, the initiative has grown to more than 12,300 participants, including over 9,300 businesses in 170 countries worldwide. SDGs consist of 17 goals and 169 targets prioritizing people-centered values, covering sustainable development, social, economic, and environmental dimensions. UN Global Compact calls on businesses worldwide to promote sustainable development through business operations, investment, and solution creation. By aligning their business strategies and activities with SDGs, businesses can contribute to achieving the global goals. This slide shows 10 targets for SDG number 14, life below water. These are reduce marine pollution, protect and restore ecosystems, reduce ocean acidification, sustainable fishing. Number 5, conserve coastal and marine areas, and subsidies contributing to overfishing. Number 7, increase the economic benefits from sustainable use of marine resources. Followed by them, increase scientific knowledge, research and technology for ocean health. Support small-scale fishers. And then number 10, implement and enforce international sea law. In this regard, Tracy Rogers, a professor of ecology at the School of Biological, Earth and Environmental Sciences, the University of New South Wales in Australia, breaks down some of the key challenges behind the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 14. Let's watch her video clip.
The UN Sustainable Development Goal 14 aims to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. So how are we doing? Well, many marine species, habitats and ecosystems have suffered catastrophic declines, and climate change further undermines ocean productivity and biodiversity. Did you know that a substantial fraction of the coastal ocean suffers from pollution, eutrophication and oxygen depletion? Our oceans are stressed by warming, and many marine species are threatened with extinction. I'm Tracy Rogers, and I'm a Professor of Ecology. I'm at UNSW in the School of Biological, Earth and Environmental Sciences. Let's look at the first of the key targets, which is to reduce marine pollution. Around 8 million metric tonnes of plastic enters our oceans each year. This is equivalent to 16 shopping bags full of plastic for every metre of coastline, excluding Antarctica. So we're not doing so good. In fact, the rate at which plastic finds its way into our ocean is increasing, and by 2025 it's predicted that we will be putting enough plastic in the ocean to cover 5% of the Earth's entire surface in cling wrap. That's each year. So does it matter that there's so much plastic in the ocean? Globally, about 1/3 of all turtles are likely to have eaten plastic in some form. But lots of marine animals mistake plastic for food, such as seals, fish, and whales. At least 690 marine species have been documented to have encountered with plastic marine debris. Either they've eaten it or they've become entangled in it. And of those species, at least 17% are vulnerable, listed as either near threatened, endangered, or critically endangered. Seabirds such as albatross, gannets, shearwaters, and petrels are particularly vulnerable. Unfortunately, many of these seabirds are already at risk. So where is this plastic coming from? All over the world. The darker the colour of this figure, the more mismanaged plastic that country has, so more likely their plastic will end up in the ocean. Gold star for New Zealand, Namibia, Oman, the Scandinavians, and the Canadians. But it doesn't matter who produces this marine plastic, because once it's in the ocean, it travels in ocean gyres around the world. Inside the gyres, the water is stationary, and it's here that plastics accumulate. Over time, garbage patches form, and the most well-known is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. But there's a garbage patch in each of our ocean basins. What can we do about it? Well, how about your weekly shop? The container your apples come in, or the plastic bag that you put them in. These are single-use plastics. So how do I get out of the shop without using any of these single-use plastics? Well, for a start, those plastic bags. 1 trillion single-use plastic bags were made globally in 2019. Replacing them with reusable bags is an easy start, and one we're all embracing anyway. Lots of countries have banned plastic bags already. Rwanda did this back in 2008. Bottled water. In Australia, we use 118,000 tonnes of single-use water bottles every year, and that's just Australia. By the way, our tap water is fine, often better tasting than the stuff you buy in a bottle, unless you live in Adelaide, or if you're buying that lovely Norwegian water, but you get my meaning. So replacing bottled water with your own reusable bottle, and if councils provide water taps around town, this easily eliminates another 200,000 tonnes of plastic every year. All we need is a couple of public taps. But managing our waste is also important. Did you know that only about 40% of those plastic bottles are recycled? The rest go to landfill or to our waterways. A discarded water bottle will take at least 1,000 years to biodegrade. But that doesn't mean it's gone, just that it's broken down into thousands, even millions of tiny pieces, into microplastics that can make their way into our food and water. A second key target is to reduce ocean acidification. So what is ocean acidification? As our activities have pushed more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, lucky for us, a great deal of this extra carbon dioxide has dissolved into seawater. The oceans have been like a giant sponge, absorbing up to 30, even 40% of our extra carbon emissions. But what happens when this extra carbon dioxide dissolves into seawater? Well, the carbon dioxide and water molecules reconfigure, and they make carbonic acid. But many marine creatures use calcium carbonate to make their shells and skeletons. In more acidic oceans, they can't do this. They can't make those shells properly. Now, from blue whales to plankton, the oceanic food web is complex. And although plankton are tiny, they are vital for many of the species higher up on the food chain. If these tiny plants and animals at the base of the food chain can't make their shells, this will have a flow-on effect that will change the very composition of our oceans. Another of the key targets is to fish sustainably. Yet, at least 1/3 of our fish stocks are overfished, and 1/3 to half of vulnerable marine habitats have been lost. What can we do? Well, buying locally caught fish rather than imported fish. This means not only can you find out where your seafood was caught, whether it's caught in a sustainable fashion, it'll also taste better. Where you buy tinned or imported seafood, check the labels for how it was caught. Read the label carefully. If you're buying tuna, see what type of tuna you're about to buy, as some species are endangered. Only buy seafood with labelling that tells you what the species is, where it was caught, and how it's been caught. And a way to do this more easily is to buy seafood that has the Marine Stewardship certification, an MSC tick. The MSC labelling enables all products to have total traceability. This means you can track what you buy from catch to plate, as it is packed and frozen on the boat. This is an easy way to make sure you're eating seafood taken from a sustainable fishery. Achieving Sustainable Development Goal 14 is achievable. We can conserve and sustainably use our oceans, seas, and marine ecosystems. Biodiversity losses in the ocean are less pronounced than those on land, and many marine species are capable of recovery once pressures are reduced or removed. However, achieving this goal will require rebuilding marine life as the life support systems, the populations, the marine habitats, and the ecosystems that deliver the many benefits society receives from our healthy oceans.
I hope enjoyed the video clip that is very much in detail of the SDG, the breakdown of goals. Besides, there are many international conventions, but in terms of the sea, there is a foundational and a comprehensive convention at the UN level. That is UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. I would like you to learn more in detail about UNCLOS, but due to a time limit, I will introduce it briefly. The convention provides a comprehensive legal framework. It regulates, among other things, all ocean space, including establishing maritime zones, its uses, and the conservation of the ocean environment and its natural resources. There were UNCLOS 1 and 2 in 1958 and 1960 respectively. Each has initiated but failed to get the ratification because of the low interest internationally. But finally, UNCLOS 3 was opened for signature on 10th of December 1982 and entered into force on 16th of November 1994 with 168 countries. This UNCLOS is composed of the preamble with 320 articles and 9 annexes. According to UNCLOS 3, there are some newborn organizations under the UN. These are the International Seabed Authority, called ISA, and an International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, called ITLOS, and the Commission on the limit of the continental shelf, that is CLCS. Let us look into the maritime zones. All definitions are stemmed from TSB, Territorial Sea Baseline. This baseline is the level of the mean lower low water level, from which coastal waters as a territorial area stretches up to 3 miles. According to UNCLOS, the territorial sea is extended up to 12 miles. Within these 12 miles, all the sovereignty, jurisdiction, and controls are the same as we do on the land territory. From the 12 miles, UNCLOS designated a contiguous zone, that is CZ. It is in between the exclusive economic zone and territorial sea. When the coastal states need to prevent any infringement of the fiscal, immigration, sanitary, and customs regulations, they can control all ships or activities in the next up to 200 miles. UNCLOS defined EEZ as an exclusive economic zone where coastal states can have exclusive rights to make the fisheries or the developing or the determining and other economic activities. And the next one is the continental shelf that may extend to 350 nautical miles from the land. It is a very ambiguous area how we make the range, but it depends on the seabed shape or the relationship between neighboring countries. You can see where about Korea is. These are our geographical locations. We prefer my country name to be called the Republic of Korea to South Korea. But many outside of Korea call our country South Korea because we are divided south and north. in the middle of the Korean peninsula by demilitarized zone. We cannot move further up to the north. It means our country is surrounded by sea, like island countries, like your country, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. When you establish the marine strategy or related policy or plan, you need first to understand where you are, what you have, what the neighborhoods are, and who is there. In that sense, we must understand Korea's geographical locations first. Fortunately, our main port, Busan, is in a beneficial and advantageous location when the Arctic Sea route is developed. When we compare the current routes via Suez Canal and the North Pacific and the Arctic area routes under development from North Pacific and Europe, there are about 4,800 miles of differences in sailing distance from Busan to Rotterdam. When the ship sails at 20 knots, it makes 10 days difference from the arrival time to the destination. In the future, if we get through the demilitarized zone and connect pipelines and railroad lines passing China and Russia, and we can reach up to the Europe by land. Taking advantage of Busan's location as the gate of Northeast Asia for the Arctic Sea route and Europe, we will develop the port strategically. Let us see the maritime jurisdiction and the neighborhood of our country. Fortunately or unfortunately, my country is located between those three powerful countries, Japan, China, and Russia, which give us ample opportunities and tough challenges as well. We have ongoing disputes between neighboring countries regarding territorial sovereignty and how to draw EEZ lines because of the short distances between them. There are a few examples. Eec is a rock or an island in the far south of the Korean peninsula, which is closest to my country among other countries. We have built a research tower and collected information on the atmospheric and climate data, including typhoons. Those are informative and helpful for us to utilize weather forecasts and research climate changes. Because Eec is located under 4.5 meters from sea level, UNCLOS interpreted it as a rock instead of an island. Accordingly, it is not recognized as a territory. Nevertheless, we utilize these areas because of the nearest country to the rock. Differently, in some other places like Senkaku or Diaoyu Island, between Japan and China, including Taiwan, there is an ongoing territorial dispute. It would be an example of how much marine administration is complicated and is required to have diverse knowledge and experience about UNCLOS and historical backgrounds. Another example is the EEZ dispute. According to UNCLOS, when the distance between coastal lines is longer than 200 miles, there will be no dispute between hostile states. But the distance, unfortunately, between Korea and Japan, Korea and China is smaller than 200 miles. As you may see on the map, there are different EZ in Korea's East and South Sea. The yellow lines are drawn by Korea, while the orange lines by Japan. There are also some gaps in drawing the EZ between Korea and China on the west coast. These situations are very challenging and look to remain a long, unsettled time. Let us explore Korea's ocean territory and island. The ocean surrounds Korea, and our ocean territory is as big as 4.4 times of land territory. We have 3,348 islands. Out of them, 472 islands are inhabited, and 2,876 islands are uninhabited. In terms of the number of islands, we are the number 4 biggest globally. You may see Indonesia as the number 1, and the Philippines and Japan are followed. Coincidentally, all 4 countries are in Asia. This slide shows Korea's marine life along the long coastal lines with extensive tidelands, a kind of mud derived from significant tidal ranges which reached up to 9 to 10 meters on the west coast. The total areas of tidelands are about 2,482 square kilometers, which provide us with enormous economic benefits and ecologically and environmentally. The entire length of the coastal line is 14,960 kilometers, which is equal to approximately 37% of the Earth's circumference. The mainland coastline is 7,752 kilometers. Out of them, about 52% of the total length. About 99% of the total population in South Korea dwells within 100 kilometers of the sea. Accordingly, we can reach the sea from any location within 2 to 3 hours. This is quite a different environment from other countries. Regarding Korea's marine and maritime industry, we have achieved great development in the last 75 years after the revolution. That is so-called miracle of Hangul. Due to the geographical location, we are trading 99.7% by sea transportation. We have many world-class industries in the marine and maritime sectors. The shipbuilding industry keeps number 1 in the world since 2001. Busan Container Terminal takes the 6th largest position in terms of handling containers. Ship volume in deadweight tonnage is the 4th largest in the world. In the area of R&D, Korea is the 8th country in the world to establish a science station in Antarctica, as we have built the first one in 1988, and the second one in 2015, for which we have launched an ice-breaking research ship named Arion in 2009. We have seen Korea's marine environment and related industries. When we make specific policies, we need to induce people's participation by dissemination of what we have, all those numbers and features. In that sense, we try to put that marine information together on a world map. Usually, we see a world map heading to North Pole, but we prepare a different map, as you can see, that is heading to the ocean from the Korean Peninsula to emphasize the importance of the sea. You may find various information on the map, like shipping routes, North Arctic route, science stations, major marine hub, major fishing hub, seabed mines, etc. Let's see my country's marine value and its importance. We again count on how important sea is from its marine value through Korea's ocean map. About 80% of all creatures live in the sea, and the sea produces 75% oxygen. The asset value of the sea is 24 trillion US dollars, and the sea reserves 2 to 5 times bigger than land deposits of natural resources like copper, manganese, and nickel. On top of that, the sea provides trading routes and abundant fisheries. This is the legend of the Korea world map, showing the central marine hub, major fishing hub, shipping routes, North Arctic route, navigation route of Araon, science station, and the seabed mine, etc. You may visit the website of the Minister of Oceans and Fisheries, and then you can find this map. You can enlarge whatever you want, any items, and see more details about what we have in the marine world. In this slide, you may see how Korea made enormous growth last 2 decades in the marine industry. Marine industry revenue has grown from 29 billion US dollars in 1998 to 153 billion in 2019. It is about 5 times growth in such a short time. The registered ship tonnage increased to 88.6 million deadweight in 2020 from 20 million deadweight in 1996, which is bigger than 4 times growth in 24 years. The cargo handling performance in ports is also rapidly grown from 280 million tons in 1996 to 1,499 million tons in 2020. Let us see the fisheries products and R&D investment. For the sea product, we have slightly dumped down from 1996 to 2000, but rebound and made steady growth by 2015. On top of merely catching fish from the ocean, we have initiated farming the fish on land. We call it aquaculture products, of which volumes are stably growing. We keep investing in R&D, of which the budget has been increased 20 times in the last 2 decades. This chapter 2 will introduce governing regime of Korea's marine administration. The ebbs and flows of marine history in Korea, marine administration development in the latter days, marine policies and objectives and related laws and plans for marine administrations. MOF is Korea's governing body for marine administrations, which initiates and implements all relevant policies and plans. The ministry has 5 objectives for its establishment. These are the first, the development of marine resources and the enhancement of marine science and technologies. Secondly, the development of shipping and the construction and operating of ports and terminals. Thirdly, the preservation of the marine environment and the coastal management. The fourth one is management of the fishery resources, promotion of fisheries and development of fishery village. And the fifth one is the marine safety. The mission of the MOF is to find new value from the sea and make the sea a place where people can be happy. I will introduce the vision and objectives of the MOF. The vision is to become a leading maritime nation of caliber and stature. MOF set 3 objectives to achieve the vision. The first is to become a world leader in shipping. Secondly, to proactively respond to diminishing fishing villages and activate the coastal economy. The third one is to realize marine and fisheries free from carbon emissions and disasters. In line with the vision and objectives, MOF made 9 detailed plans. The first one is to secure a competitive edge in the shipping sector to lead the world. Secondly, to preemptively develop and secure future port infrastructure and streamline operations. Thirdly, to support import and export logistics to grow in conjunction with related industries. The fourth one is to accelerate the vitalization of fishing communities. Fifthly, to support the sustainable innovation and growth of the fishery industry. Sixthly, to enhance the foundation for marine tourism and promote the reconstruction of ports. The seventh one is to pursue negative carbon emissions in the marine and the fisheries sector. The last one is to aim for zero marine plastic waste and to build a trustworthy safety management system for the marine and the fisheries sector. This slide shows the organization of MOF headquarters. Under the minister and the vice minister, there are 6 offices. The Bureau of Planning and Coordination at the far left is responsible for overall supporting functions. On the second from the left, the Marine Policy Office inside the red color dotted box has 3 sub-organizations. The first one is the Marine Environment Policy Bureau and Marine Policy Bureau, and the third one is the International Cooperation Policy Bureau. And we have another 4 offices and bureaus separately for shipping and logistics, maritime safety, fisheries and ports and harbors. The head office of the MOF is located in Sejong administrative complexity, some 120 kilometers south of Seoul, capital city. MOF has 11 regional offices, mainly in the main ports. They are responsible for seafarers' maritime safety matters, port logistics, marine environment issues, fisheries, and as to navigation management. On top of that, MOF has affiliated institutions such as maritime high schools, ocean and fisheries human resource development institutes, National Maritime Position Navigation and Timing Office, National Institute of the Fisheries Science, and Korea Hydrographic and Oceanographic Agency. Besides, Korea Maritime Safety Tribunal with 4 regional offices. They to ensure maritime safety by identifying the causes of accident based on investigation and judgment of ship-related accident at sea. The National Sea Fisheries Management Services, which operate 34 vessels, are engaged to protect fishery resources in our EEZ and ensure the safety operation of our fishing boats. Under MOF's supervision, there are many public institutions. We call them public authorities or quasi-government entities. We have 5 port authorities responsible for handling port operations and managing port lands in major ports. Additionally, there are Korea Marine Environment Management Corporation, Korea Maritime Transportation Safety Authority, Korea Institute of Maritime and Fisheries Technology, Korea Fisheries Resources Agency, Korea Institute of Marine Science Technology Promotion, Port Security Cooperation in 2 large ports, Korea Institute of As to Navigation, Korea Institute of Ocean Science and Technology, Korea Fisheries Infrastructure Public Agency, Korea Hydrography and Research Association, and Korea Maritime Dangerous Goods Inspection and Research Institute. Besides, there are many other public institutions and associations. You may infer what they are doing from the name of the organization. But if you are interested more about what they are doing, you may visit the website address provided in the slide and then find more in detail.